Hello everyone, I'm Rich Lamont. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. Glad to have you here. So today I'm going to be covering Carrie Stevens' Gray Ghost. The Gray Ghost in general is a pretty popular fly. I've never tied the Carrie Stevens version. I've always tied like the smaller fishing versions. But this hook here is about a 2.0 10x long. So it's a rather large hook. This is kind of a smaller Carrie Stevens hook as well. This is a number 2 10x long. So kind of give you an idea of how large this hook actually is. So let's get started and see how this goes. So we're starting with Lagarden 150 denier, and we're going to tie in at the back, not at the front like we mostly do. Alright, now the tinsel, we're going to start by tying that in. The tag and ribbing is the same material. It's going to be silver tinsel. For this, I'm just using double-sided mylar, gold and silver. We're going to be exposing the silver side, and we'll just tie that in back here. And then we're going to wrap this all the way forward, touching turns all the way to the front. It's kind of the tedious part of the fly, if you will. You don't really overlap these. This is going to be a floss-bodied fly, so you want your body to be as even and smooth as possible. Hence the need for the touching turns instead of overlapping. Anything overlapping will leave lumps under there. And you can see I'm holding the hook shank. It's because this, as we get towards the end, the hook being so long that it does move around a bit. So I'm just holding it straight, holding it in place. And then we're going to stop right about here. Now the floss that we're using, this calls for like a red-orange, so I'm using some silk floss. This is a Japanese silk. Comes on rolls like this. Now you can do one of two things. You can use the floss in hand, in which case gloves are a very good idea so you don't fray the silk and you don't get your oils from your fingers on the silk. Or you can spool it up onto a spool like this, like I've done, and what that'll do is that'll allow you to control the silk a little bit better. You can keep it flatter, you can have nice even wraps, and you don't have to worry about your fingers destroying the silk. So that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to tie this in. And then I'm actually going to whip finish and just get my black thread out of the way for the moment. The advantage to doing it without the bobbin is that you don't need to remove your spool. But to do it the way I'm going to do it, it'll be much easier if I don't have the black thread spool in the way. So now we're going to just slowly make our way to the back of the hook. And just keep unwrapping it, untwisting it. And what I'm doing here by rocking it back and forth is just helping those fibers settle just a little bit more and helping them spread out a little more. Doing it without the bobbin, you can double up you can fold it back on itself and double it and actually have a much wider band to work with, which can make this go a little bit quicker, but the end result is or the main goal rather, is to tie the fly well, not tie the fly fast. So as you can see here, getting it to lay down nicely, and then we'll get to the back of the fly and then work our way back forward again. If you decide you're going to do it this way on a bobbin, make sure you use a ceramic bobbin that you're confident has no burrs or frays at the end, anything that's going to get into your tinsel or into your floss and wind up marring it up. Okay, then we're going to go back over the tag just a little bit. And then work our way back forward. And at the end of this, when we're done wrapping this, it should be for the most part nice and smooth, but we could also burnish it, which I'll do just to show you. And if you loosen up your wrap a little bit, you can see you can kind of get it to jump up, and that'll help spread it out a little. But if you're not careful, it could jump out of the way and actually misalign your wraps. Now, as I said, this is a little bit of a tedious part of this, but it's a necessary part. And you keep your wraps nice and smooth and even, keep them touching. And I have a fray in my line right there. Let's see what we can do with this. go. Okay. Now we'll just tie back in and tie that off. The floss body part is done. Now let's go through and just do a quick burnish. Very gently. There are a couple of little fibers that are kind of out of place. Right here where that fray was. Okay. Now the tag we're going to wrap backwards a couple of turns. Just about till we reach the bend of the hook. And then when it starts to bend, we're going to come back forward. And then as we come back forward, when we get to the body, we'll start our ribbing, which I'm going to progressively make farther and farther apart. Okay, and now we've got that one frayed fiber again. Alright. The throat for this is going to be bucktail. And so we'll get a nice clump of bucktail here. Just enough to reach the back of the bend of the hook. I'm actually just using a piece of a smaller chunk of bucktail. Just trying to find the appropriate length. Some of these smaller pieces of bucktail don't always have good stuff on them. I don't think I'm going to stack this. I know some people will hair stack it. I don't think I'm going to. I'm going to keep it as it is. And a little bit of varying length throughout the fly, I think, is going to give it a better look. I'll tie that in on the underside. Just even these tips up quick. And then we'll just tie that in right under here. Okay. Now on the body there is a golden pheasant topping for the first layer. What I've done is I found a longer topping for this, and that one you kind of have to break the back on it, so to speak, and straighten it out. And you can do that just by using your thumbnail and going along the back gradually. Gently, not too much. If you go too much, you can kink it too bad, and then it kind of ruins the feather. But if you just go along, you can get it to straighten out nice. And that will lay right down on the hook with the tip of it dropping off the bend of the hook. There we are. And that way we get it to stand up a little bit more as it sits over the body. The next layer is peacock curl. So you want to find the ones that are a little bit longer and have that upward curve towards the tip. Those you'll typically find below the eye on your peacock. So that would be these here. Those and these. So we'll go ahead and clip those off. And we're going to tie between 4 and 6 of these. But you want them all oriented to the same. You want the same curvature, you want the same, you don't want them all over the place. They're already starting to shift on me. And of course I've got one that doesn't want to cooperate. I'd really rather them curve upward, not downward. Peacock curl is not always simple to work with. See if I can get these to tie in together. Okay. A little bit better. Let's see if I can get a couple more on there. All right, when we put the rest of the wing on, that should help settle that down a bit. It is riding rather high, though. I also feel like I'm moving towards rather kind of a large head on this fly, but we shall see. Yeah, this peacock curl is kind of a disaster. Okay. So now the underwing, being the peacock, we also have the main wing, which is going to be 4 gray hackles. A lot of times you see that tied in along the side of the fly. I want to try to get them to sit on top of the fly. alongside of the fly, hides the body, and especially if this is going to be a fly for a frame and not for fishing, you don't want to hide that body so much. So we're going to try to prevent the sides from being covered up. And I saw this done, and I thought this was a great idea, so I'm going to give it a shot. Using a hen hackle laid flat on the underneath like this, and what that'll do is help keep the main wings more up in the air. This this little feather here won't be seen as much. Silver pheasant will be on the side that's going to cover this up anyway. So now leave that right flat. So all we got to do is just kink the stem just a little bit by the tie-in point, and that'll help kick that up a little bit, just like that. Now tied in, and kind of keeps these peacock curled down a little bit, and it'll keep the main wing up, hopefully. Okay. So now, clip that off. Now our main wing. These hackles that I've got for the main wing have a bit of droop to them. So having this little riser, if you will help with that. And I'm going to try to tie these in one at a time. Okay, got a little bit of an unruly piece of peacock here, but I'll deal with that later. Alright, so now we're going to tie in the inner pair of hackles. I don't really want them to lay flat down on it. I want them to stand up and make a nice visible wing. There we go, just like that. This one wants to roll just a little bit. So what we do is take the rackus and we just twist it a little bit right here so that way it sits flatter on where you're mounting it. So if the feather wants to roll towards you, take the rackus where you pinch it down and you're going to twist it in your right hand. You're going to twist that rackus away from you, and that's going, no, excuse me, you're going to twist that towards you while twisting the feather away from you. And what that's going to do is twist that rackus a little bit right there, and that'll help lay that a little bit smoother at your tie-in point and not want to roll so much. You think about, you've already tied in 2 feathers, that inner pair, so that creates that thread bump right there. So that thread bump is no longer going to be flat on the hook. It's going to want to, the feather is going to be tied up against that. So you want to have that rackus twisted a little bit right there to help compensate for that angled piece of thread you're trying to tie it to, if that makes sense. So like on this side right here, this isn't flat that I'm trying to mount this to. This is actually an angled piece. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to twist this away from me a little bit and the feather towards me. And that should create a tie-in point that is at the right angle to keep the feather itself from rolling. And it still wants to roll a little, so we have to go a little more. Just don't go too far and twist it off completely. That's better. As I said, I think I'm set up for kind of a larger head on this one. It's not what I was shooting for, but I think that's what I'm going to wind up with. But that's okay. We'll make it look alright. Okay, so remove excess stems. There's a throat on this as well, which is another golden pheasant topping. This one's a bit shorter. What we're going to do is strip off this part here and kink right by the tie-in point. And again, we'll take our flat nose pliers and just flatten out that spot where we're going to tie in. thread back to here. Get a little wax on there, why not? Just a small amount. Okay, that's a large amount. Pardon me. That's a little long, actually. Alright, so we're going to shorten that up a bit. And to help line it up, I just sent it through the eye hole, and that's just an easier way of helping line that up. Okay. Now we can put on the sides, which is our silver pheasant. I like that. And then we'll get our silver pheasant for the other side, which will just match. I'm going to make sure those are oriented correctly, so they're not tipped upward or downward. I'm going to make sure that they're in line perfectly on the body. And the curvature of the silver pheasant should match the curvature of your wing. And should also match the curvature of your throat. There we are. And then the last touch is the jungle cock eye. This eye's a little on the large side. See if I can pick one just a little smaller. I don't like the shape of that eye. That's a little better. I think we can do better still. Okay, so I think this is the one that I'm going to go with for this side. And then I've got one to match for the opposite. That was a little big. Here we go, this one. There we go. Go ahead and trim all that off. Some feathers coming apart here. Yep. Okay. A little bit of wax up here just to build the head a little, and then we're going to do the red stripe. I'll try to cauterize this here. For those of you not familiar, excuse me, voice just cracked. For those of you not familiar, this is just it's a cauterizing pen that you can use to burn off excess feather tips or any stray fibers that are out of place. Got it on Amazon, called the Thread Zap 2. It was pretty cheap, 10 or 12 bucks, and it's lasted me a year. All I do is put batteries in it. No issues. So if you're looking for a cauterizing pen, it's not a bad one. Okay. Quick whip finish. And I'm just going to use some regular red Danville thread for this. I'm just going to load this into a bobbin. Which sometimes apparently I have trouble with. I like using the straw method. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It's just sticking the thread in down here and then just sucking it up through. And then for this we're just going to Carefully just wrap this on here. Good stripe. Then we'll whip finish right over it. We'll do a quick layer of Sally Henson's Hard as Nails. That'll help. Oop. Not too much on that. That'll get in there nicely. And then with just a little bit of preening, not even too much needed. Oh boy. Of course, right at the end. There we go. I got it. I got it. Okay, folks. Here we are. Our finished Carrie Stevens Gray Ghost. Not the absolute best, but for my first one, not too terribly bad. I will definitely be revisiting this pattern soon and making a few adjustments and a few changes and things that I noticed along the way. Well, hopefully you guys liked that video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. You know, if you guys haven't subscribed, think about subscribing. I'm going to have more stuff coming up. I'm actually doing a video this afternoon. It should be up in a day or two on the different types of bodies that salmon flies and even regular flies contain. So I'm going to cover everything from silk bodies, tinsel bodies, rayon bodies, and some dubbed fur bodies. So keep your post notifications on for that. And of course, I've always got new flies that'll be coming out weekly. If you guys have any friends or family, anybody you know that's interested in fly tying that really likes this type of thing, send them over to the channel. Have them take a look. I really appreciate you guys, and thank you to all the new subscribers. It really means a lot to me that you guys enjoy the videos, and I'm really happy to be making them for you. So, more videos will be coming out soon. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next video, tight lines, everyone. Have a great day.